live. Look at that.
Ah.
God, we're very professional today. And look how far back we are today. Isn't
I
that
know,
good?
I know, but can they hear us and your foot's on the wrong side?
No, the foot's down there. Really?
Yeah.
No, look. Aha.
Is your foot in a different place than mine?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
My foot's at the bottom. The camera's there and the foot's there.
Oh.
So much for starting this one off like we were meant to, huh? Hi everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all well. We are here and we're ready, and you can't see up our nostrils, so that's always a win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's positive.
I was so prepared for our topic today.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't prepared. Well, anyway, semi-prepared. And then it got changed, so.
Okay. Yeah, because I was sitting and I was thinking, you know, have we done a lot of fairly deep topics over the last few weeks? Like, you know, there've been more coaching things.
Possibly, yeah.
So I think this one would be a lighter one. Plus
Oh, you're saying that we've done a lot of deep topics.
Mm.
Oh, when you want a lighter one. Okay, sorry.
Not that this will be
Hello,
awfully
whoever
light,
that is.
but it'll be a bit.
Hopefully I'll be able to talk okay today because I've got my braces in.
But you're so gorgeous, so.
Do you know when you have that thing, I'm paranoid that you can't hear us. Can you hear us okay? Because I always think that you can't hear us okay, especially now that we're even further away, so give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay. So, do you know what's tough? Is it tough to swallow somebody annoyed with you or somebody disappointed with you?
I'm never worried about somebody being annoyed with me because that's their stuff. When someone is disappointed in me, it's usually because I've done something that hasn't lived up to what they thought.
Yeah.
So it's still their stuff. It's not my stuff. But
when you're meant to follow through on something.
Oh, well then, yeah, you've done something wrong.
Yeah, that was me today.
Do you want to share?
This is going to be part of my responsibility, not take responsibility. But, so.
Well, we can just change it. Let's do that then. Let's stick with the original topic.
Yeah?
Yeah, or go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about
personal responsibility.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's a funny one because it's something that I think people aren't aware of. Humans, love to blame other people. They love to give away and pass the buck immediately. When something goes wrong, who can I blame for this thing going wrong? Because surely I'm not wrong. And I think people do it all the time. All the time. And it's really unfortunate because when we accept responsibility for everything we do, and we're in control of everything we do, everything, right? We're in control of our emotions, our beliefs, our thoughts, our words, our actions, our responses, our reactions, everything. Everything is in our control. So everything is our responsibility. When we accept it, it's so feckin' liberating. It feels sticky in the moment, but then you can kind of go, right, okay, it's my responsibility, so I have the opportunity to change it. I'm not going to blame anybody else, I'm just going to sort it out myself. Yeah. Hey Amelia, that's my friend from Galway, I love her.
I don't know if you were on a second ago, but I was actually kind of laughing to myself thinking, we've just changed topic to responsibility and then we lost a viewer. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, okay then, what is that telling you about yourself?
Amelia is a class person and she's very aware and very awake and she knows what's going on, so she'll enjoy this one too. I think she'll probably agree with a lot. Oh, we've got more people. Okay, so Thelma, would you like to share a little bit about your personal responsibility discovery today?
Okay, so I do try to reflect on myself and where I can make improvements, and I find I come up against challenges of my patterns, which I was thinking we might talk about patterns someday.
Maybe on Friday.
Yeah, because myself and Kira were having a discussion when we were doing our upcoming courses and that, and I put everybody in the bracket how everybody knows a lot of the stuff that we know, but actually Kira kind of brought it to my mind that not everybody knows what everybody knows. Anyways, in regards to personal responsibility, so I've got these lovely Invisaligns, and some people have them, some people don't, and I did have train tracks back in the day. What's the word for train tracks?
Braces. Oh,
is there another word for? Anyways, the metal braces. And so sometimes when things are bought by your parents, we don't kind of appreciate maybe them at the time, or maybe we do appreciate them, but we don't give it our all or follow through on it because we didn't pay for it. And that could just be a case of somebody, even a friend of yours, paying for something and we don't maybe appreciate it, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't wear my retainers. And so my teeth went back crooked again. So that was me not taking responsibility for myself that I didn't wear retainers, and it ended up costing me more money down the road then, all because I didn't take responsibility for myself. And so now I have these Invisaligns to round 2, try and make my teeth look the way I want them to look. And the hard thing about them is that you change a tray, they're called, every 11 days. And you have to take them in and out at certain times when you're eating, but you're meant to wear them 22 times a day. However, it's quite difficult sometimes because when I'm live like this, I like to take them out in case lipstick goes on them, because I've had that before. And then some days I'm just feeling tired and like, oh God, to brush these things again and put them in. So I had my fibromyalgia flare up for 2 months. I was feeling sorry myself and my body was tired and everything. And I was like, oh my God, these goddamn braces. So I wasn't wearing them like I should have done, and therefore my teeth moved, and I thought that he wouldn't notice because I'd shove them back in again to bite on this chewy thing. So I thought if I wear them, my last 2 trays, which are 11 days each, if I wear them for more than 11 days each time, then that'll kind of all work out and everything will be fine. However, that didn't happen today. So I actually probably should be finished my braces today. He said 8 months. I don't even know how long I've gone over. I'm sure other people do this as well. And then part of me thinks, well, I'm an adult, you know, and I can make these decisions, and that's just life, and it's life, and life happens. And I realised, Selma, what are you doing here now? What exactly doing? So I was justifying myself, sticking my head in the sand, and not taking responsibility that I paid this money, and why am I following through? Why am I sabotaging it, you know? And like, what purpose is that going to solve? Like, at the end of the day, I'd be finished them now, and I'd have lovely teeth for Christmas. So he said to me, now Thelma, you know, you haven't done what the program was, and therefore I've got these other trays for you to wear now, and not only are you going to have to wear those, but we are going to have to reassess your whole thing again and get you even more trays, which costs them more money and probably eats into their profits, I suppose. And he's such a lovely guy, Shamrock in Westport, and I said to him, I'm so sorry. I said, you must be so good like at holding your frustration. He goes, it takes me a lot to be frustrated. But you know what I realised then? It's not so much his frustration, but disappointment.
Yeah.
And he was looking at my teeth and he was like, okay, Thelma, but you know, these ones now are at 100% and we'll go forward and I'm going to meet you in 20 days and to see if you're wearing them and that. And I was like, okay. And I felt so deflated, not because necessarily the way he made me feel, because nobody can make you feel anything. We've had this discussion. But just, disappointed in myself. But it's a very tricky one in that, Ciara, but taking responsibility, because I'll tell you why. So I had a fibromyalgia flare up. You got it like a Mona Lisa smile. I had the fibromyalgia flare up, so my body was really tired, and I was just tired of myself. Genuinely, like I was locked up for 2 months, not in my room or anything, but just in my body. And I didn't want any, not that they're painful, but I just didn't want any more effort that I needed to do already about getting up and getting dressed and mind my kids. And so these were just an extra effort at the time. And I know in life happens sometimes, but that's a tricky one because I've let myself down, I've let him down. And yet, if I was to go back into that space of that hard 2 months again, would I do it differently? I don't know.
Sometimes it comes, first of all, well done for actually addressing it, because it's really good, and I know you're very good at reflecting on things, you really are, and you do take it to heart, you really do. So it kind of comes back to what commitments you make to yourself, and I like this one. So somebody said, for anybody who's watching, a friend of mine, Lee Ware, I was out in his house one day and he said to me, do you hit snooze on the alarm clock when you wake up in the morning? And I said, yeah. And he goes, how many times do you hit snooze? And I said, I don't know, maybe 2. Maybe 3 if I'm really tired. And he said, right, Ciara, he said, so you made a commitment to yourself last night to make an alarm, to turn an alarm on for, we'll say 8 o'clock in the morning. And then you decided that at 8 o'clock in the morning, you'd break that commitment to yourself. And it was a real sting in the tail.
When I heard you saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so on point. Like,
it was
so
awful. Yeah, because like if I can't keep a commitment to myself, how the hell am I going to keep commitments to other people?
And how do you expect other people to keep commitments to you when you don't show up
100%.
for yourself?
And it's the only area of my life that I wasn't actually committing to myself, because I was saying, exactly like you said a minute ago, I'm an adult, I can choose for myself. I can decide in the morning how many times I need to hit snooze. I want to get up when I want to get up. I like sleep and I'm going to do this. And it's that child. It's not actually the adult that we're working with. It's the inner child.
That's exactly what it sounded like when you were just voicing that out there. I was like,
that's not an adult.
Oh my God. Like,
yeah, how old are you? You know, literally, what is you?
Isn't it funny though, you know, when somebody plays out your story nearly and you can see it from a different perspective going,
oh yeah.
Okay.
I was 5 in that scenario. But so imagine if you went back in time, which you can't, so maybe we won't go back in time. So going forward, you made a commitment to yourself before to do it, and you haven't stayed committed to yourself. So your personal responsibility is, after the appointment today, how committed are you going to be to yourself? Because it's not about him, it's about you.
I wore them for the first time in my life.
Excellent. Very good.
And the only reason I didn't wear them before was, well, no, maybe I did kind of sabotage them because I didn't have them washed or whatever. But because if I wore lipstick and that, and then I just thought to myself, do you know what? If lipstick is on them, then here's a friend, I hope, and she just tell me if they're on my braces or whatever, and that's just it. And we all go through this. So have a motor on, get to December, and then possibly done.
Exactly, and it's only 6.5 weeks away. So really,
it's only like a tiny bit of my life.
Exactly.
Like I just think, do you ever notice, like, say, you especially notice it with children, or if you're going away on holidays or something, how quickly time actually goes.
Oh, so
right?
fast.
Or even like, say, my husband is so busy all week. I'm not saying that I'm not, but he's working away during the week or whatever. So I really value the family time at the weekend. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, is it family time already? Is it weekend already? So the months fly, and where I might have procrastinated on, say, I might do my yoga or, you know, different things like that, I think, oh my God, if I just did a little bit every day, like, the year flies so fast. Like, how much would I have improved in myself, and by just taking responsibility for the little things that I want to do in life. It's just not even think like to do this every single day, but just in the day, like, I'm just going to take today for today.
Yeah.
And take every day for today. Because that's all we have, really.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Rather than thinking like, this is my new role now, I'm going to be so responsible and blah, blah, blah. I think we can make it so big that we can sabotage it. So I think daily practices.
Yeah, there's elements of how important it is to actually look forward, not because you want to live there, but because you want to actually vision and envision what's going to happen down the road, and that's the big picture.
End goal, kind of
pulling it back and having it in bite-sized chunks. So exactly that. So, you know, I'm a big fan of whiteboards and notebooks and diaries, and I write everything out. I have a massive vision for 10 years down the line, but I do everything day by day and week by week. Because if I was to start thinking of what I have to do in 6 months' time, I've it all written down, but I don't want to think about it right now because I'm trying to get to that place. I'm enjoying every single day for what it is. I'm being personally responsible for myself and my life every single day. And I'm going to get there when I get there, but I don't need to live there now. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly it.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I don't know if this makes sense to you guys, but I just had this saying in my head as you're talking there. Like, I remember somebody said to me back in the day, like, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. And so if we're not to focus on like the bigger notes or the bigger amount of money, so say further down the line, but we look after like the pennies, so like look after your every single day, then all of it's adding up the whole time.
Exactly.
So like you might have found then that like you were far more efficient in your everyday because you went day by day, and then you look back on your week and you think to yourself, oh my God, didn't I actually get through so much in the week? Whereas if we look at all the stuff that we have to do on a weekly basis and look at it for the week, we can procrastinate with our time and think, do you know what? Oh, but sure, I can do that tomorrow. I'm like, oh, do you know what? Should I go for that coffee? I can do that the next day. And then you look back at the end of the week and you realise you've sabotaged because you haven't taken responsibility in your everyday stuff that you know, doesn't really take up too much time. If we just sat down, it'd be time efficient, you know?
100%. And I wrote down on the post actually that we talk about motivation versus inspiration today. We had originally said we were going to talk about personal development, but then I decided to change the topic today. And we're going to stick with personal development, but when you're actually looking at, or is that what I said? No, personal responsibility. Yeah. When you're looking at personal responsibility and what it can do for you in your own life, it is a massive inspiration to yourself. When you're actually so focused on accepting responsibility for the things that happen in your life. So if you hit the snooze button 3 times and you had a plan to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and read a book, and you didn't do that because you hit the snooze button, and later on in the day you said, oh well, for feck's sake, I didn't get up early enough, and now, you know something, I shouldn't have hit the snooze button, and that was this one's fault, and I went to bed too late last night, and you know, I should have done this, right? So just accept the responsibility in the moment and say, I hit snooze, tomorrow I won't do it because I'm going to make a commitment to myself. Don't blame anybody else. Or if you're in a situation where you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, and hey Sharon, how's it going?
Hi Sharon.
And you say, oh well, I didn't do it because of X and Y and Z and W and A to Z and whatever. Rather than saying that, it's much better to just say, I didn't do it, so I'm accepting responsibility for it, but tomorrow I'll do it. And then you do it.
Yeah, I think because like for somebody who comes from that place, that every time you've got an excuse, it's a different excuse, right? But like, people don't really care what the excuse is. The bottom line is you didn't do it. And so we think by making excuses for whatever reason that it was at the time, oh, you know, they forgive me because, you know, it's a fairly legitimate excuse. But it's not about the story, it's about why didn't you do what you were meant to do, and own it.
It's like going to school, and I did a live the other day, and it was all about personal responsibility with another coach. And it's like when you go to school and you arrive into school in the morning, or college or whatever, and you're running in and you're 5 minutes late, and you burst in the door and the classroom has already started and the teacher is knee deep in the middle of a lesson and she's got 32 kids in front of her, and you burst in the door and you go, oh my god, I'm really sorry that I'm late because the bus was late, or my mother and father didn't get up early, or I didn't get up early enough, or the car didn't start, and the dog ate my homework. And the teacher has actually, all she is irritated with the fact that you came in and started talking. But if you walk into a situation where you're late and you just say, I'm sorry I'm late, and then you move to wherever you're supposed to go and you start doing your thing, because nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're just really appreciative that you've said I'm sorry, and that you've acknowledged the fact that you're late, and now you're getting into whatever you need to get into, because it can be such a disruption. That happens with everything in life. If you're supposed to be at a meeting and you're late, I'm sorry I'm late. Sit down, start the meeting, right? The other person will appreciate your honesty and the fact that you want to get down to business because you've just wasted 5 or 10 minutes of their time. And acknowledging the fact that, you know, if there's things in your life that you're not brilliant at, right? We don't have to be brilliant at everything. But if there's things in your life
that annoy you even,
you
know, if they annoy you, why do you keep letting it happen all the time? So you've got responsibility in that. And what Ciara was saying there is that, you know, you were saying about being late, so I'd be late a bit, right? But also, I thought you were going to say about your homework. Oftentimes I didn't have my homework done, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't take responsibility, so I'd be copying somebody else, and then you get annoyed with them that they didn't do it right, because, oh my god, I didn't get whatever result I wanted. Like, what's wrong with you? Well, what's wrong with me? But the funny thing is that when you accept responsibility, right? So, myself and Ciara might chat someday about our dark side or our shadow side. So it's about, you know, kind of opening up the blinds or open up the doors into our shadow side, so the sides that we don't like about ourselves, and that could be that we don't like to take responsibility. Because if we were to step up and take responsibility, it means that we have to look at ourselves and see, why aren't we taking responsibility in that specific thing? You know, so if it's a case of being late all the time and you bust in the door, somebody has said to me before, the reason why you'd end up doing that is because it's drama. And maybe that there's drama in your life and that you feel comfortable in drama, there's a safety in it, or that you want that moment to be all about you in that time. So it's about wanting attention, but it's negative attention. So if we can really watch where we need to take responsibility and why we act the way we do when we don't take responsibility, we can really get to know ourselves on such a bigger, deeper level. And then we are different beings in the world then, and therefore when people see us having this really good change in ourselves without having to tell them what it is that we're doing, they want to know, what's this good change in yourself? Why all of a sudden have you taken responsibility, or are you on time, or, you know, take responsibility for your own happiness even. And then our kids and our peers and people who are in our circle tend to want to change as well, because they see us being different.
And there's a lovely sentence saying, is it, bring people into your success, don't suck them into your drama. And I think it's lovely, because I probably haven't worded it right, but exactly what you're saying. You don't have to tell anybody what to do. We're not here to tell you guys what to do. We're telling you what we're doing. And some people will look at you when you do make those changes and be like, oh, you've changed. Absolutely, I have. And for the best, for me. If you don't like that, that's completely okay, because I'm not telling you you have to change. But some people will go, oh my god, how did you do that? And suddenly you'll see people leveling up, And it's not that we're better than anyone, or that I'm better than you, or you're better than me, or you're better than us. It's a case of learning, step by step by step. And every single person learns every day. And there's another great saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I love it. I really love it, because the more people that you surround yourself with that are on a higher path than you, that doesn't mean a better path, that's a higher path, who know more, who have learned more,
You
who
totally
have been
stole my
further.
thunder there.
Really?
That was going to be my next one.
Sometimes we even finish each other's sentences. But
I think you're 100% right there, because you see, do you know what? When we were in school, we were learning more like academic stuff, right? But this here, right now, girls and boys, men and women and all the rest.
Girls and boys, we're so in Bosco. We're
I know,
so
yeah.
in Bosco.
Maybe because I feel like a child today. Like, this is the school of life. Like, we're in the school of life and the school of learning, like self-learning, self-development. And I know there's so many self-help books out there and all this kind of self stuff, whatever. And I think it's used so often now that the word is getting lost, you know. And but it's worth really investing the time in yourself. So with self-responsibility, there was something I was going to say there. Me and you talk about this, how we get lost in tangents and forget what we're talking about.
Yeah, did you do it?
Yeah. So, you know, what were you saying there again?
About the higher path?
Oh, yeah. So, for instance, right, so one of the things that I like is, like, that, because we attract what we want, but we also attract what we don't want, and that's where our lack of self-learning comes in, because we don't want to look at our dark side, so therefore we end up attracting it in others and into our lives. But if we took responsibility, we're more in control of the situation. So for me, I love how people get respect. I love people who are respected, should I say. I would look at them and think, okay, how is that person so respected? So a bit like you were saying, in a sense that I want to learn what I don't have, or surround myself by people that I can learn from. So I'm constantly trying to be the best I can be. And that might be that they have done a lot of self-reflection, they have done a lot of personal owning their responsibility and that. And what I think, when you do a lot of that kind of work, then people see in you that you're respecting yourself by doing this. And in turn, you just ooze this kind of this honorability and this truth that's in you, and people just kind of want to gravitate towards that. So if you guys were to even start at, and I really mean this, that how this is so important, is set yourself up for success. So start off with little goals that are achievable in your everyday. You know, like, say if you want to say, do you know what, I just really want to get the house cleaned, and I really want to get it done, I've got so much to get done around the house. Rather than seeing the house as a whole, maybe start at the kitchen, or somewhere that you're going to use a lot, you know. And so basically you're setting yourself up with a goal that's achievable in the time frame that you have. Or that I want to start going to the gym, or whatever the case is. Then start off with an achievable goal, with pack your bag the night before and have it in your car, so that that's one step in achieving what you want to achieve. So you're taking responsibility of your own life, because nobody else can take responsibility for you, just yourself. So again, set yourself up for success and take baby steps in the right direction of taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, one thing you said there, which I really loved, and if Amelia is still on now, she'll know who I'm talking about, but I think the very first thing that we all, and I'm going to say have to do, is know who we are. Because if we don't know who we are, nobody else knows who we are. And you said it there. You said when you have that truth inside you, when you're really becoming self-aware, when you're working on your self-development, when you're being the best version of yourself, the honest version of yourself, and really truthful, and you're coming at everything from that place, literally from the heart. Like, we point at this part of our body all the time when we talk about various different things, and we're pointing at the heart, right? Who we are at the heart of things. When you come from that place and you know yourself, like you know your own name, everyone around you knows who you are. So they actually have no doubt about what your boundaries are, what your rules are for yourself, what respect you expect, or what way that you want people to be with you, because you're teaching people how you want to be treated. And I asked my karate teacher once, he had changed completely, and he had been one way when I was a kid, and he was very different as an adult. And I asked him, you just see if he knocked that down.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I asked him, you know, why you're different, and he said, oh, I don't know. He said, I just, you know, because we do such a hard style, I didn't want people to be, you know, to be afraid of it. And I was like, oh, okay, right. And I said, well, what are the chances that, you know, you'd go back to being who you are? And he said, well, I might try it. I might see if I can. And I said, because you wonder why the kids aren't maybe responding to you like kids used to. And I said, I think it's probably because they don't know who you are. And I said, so the minute that you know who you are again, I said, I guarantee things will change. And sure enough, a couple of weeks later, he really brought himself back to each class. And the kids responded so well to him because he was really himself. Like, he was 100% back to being who he was when I was a kid. And I remember going into classes and he would look at it and he would be like, everyone is into the white t-shirt, everyone has their belts tied properly, everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it proved my point so beautifully that when you don't know who you are in the world, when you don't know how you're being, when you're not aware of yourself, when you don't take responsibility for things in your life, when you haven't done any learning or self-development, and I mean even opening a book, even listening to an audio or a podcast, or coming on to these chats and listening to us waffle on for 30 minutes, which is actually fantastic because you're getting huge amounts in it for whatever you take. The minute you start doing that and you start to learn who you are, you actually give everybody else a gift. And that's the gift of being able to be with you however they need to be, because you're 100% yourself.
Yeah.
And it actually, what it does is, and this might sound really harsh, but it's not meant to, it gets rid of all the pretenders in your life. 100%. When you're 100% yourself and you own every decision you make, it gets rid of all of the people, or the tire kickers, as people would say, and you will attract really beautiful people to you, the people who are meant to be there.
Because we end up attracting who it is that we are.
Remember, we had this conversation. So you can attract who you are, or you can attract a person who's completely opposite to you because they see something in you that they need. So like that, and remember I was giving you this example. So you could attract somebody into your life who's really manipulative, really just underhanded and not straight up. You're nothing like that. There isn't a manipulative bone in your, well, we're all manipulative in some ways, but not negatively. Whereas what that person will see in you is the goodness and the heart and the light. And they're coming on top of you and you're coming straight for them, and that's what they need. They need to learn how that they don't have to go over or under or around. They can actually meet somebody where they are. So sometimes you can meet somebody in your ego. So if I'm jealous, then I might meet somebody who's jealous and I might say, oh, that's such a jealous person because in here I'm feeling jealous. Sorry guys, I just said, or you can meet somebody who needs something that you have.
So I suppose the key then in that is to know the difference.
Yeah.
And we would miss that key if we weren't aware about who we are at the core.
100%.
Because if we know who we are, then we don't have to invest so much energy into the world, because we already know who we are. We've done the homework and everything. So therefore it should be quite obvious to us what the energy that's coming at us is all about, whether they're coming at us for a positive thing or a negative thing. And we then can decide who we want to let into our lives. And as you said with the tire kickers, which I've never heard before in my life,
it's a good one.
that the most time that you find out who's your friend and who's not is when, excuse my pun, but the shit hits the fan. And then you think, oh my God, I can't believe that they don't have my back. I can't believe they weren't there for me. I can't believe when I really need them, they weren't there. But really, guys, if you were to sit down and take responsibility and wonder, can you really believe that they weren't there? Because if you were to sit down and think about it, there have been so many red flags where they weren't there that we didn't take notice. It's almost like meeting somebody in your life in a relationship, whether it's friendship or whether it's sexual or whatever the case may be. And they say that they give us these red flags all the time, but we choose to overlook it, or we choose to think, oh, but you know, they didn't mean it. That's somebody who hasn't done their homework on themselves to think, oh, but they didn't mean it. Why are you justifying their behaviour? Their behaviour is their behaviour, and they're showing you what they're like. They're showing up. but you're not showing up for yourself to know the difference.
I love sayings, and you know, people say, oh, there's just another cliche or another saying or whatever. Sayings are here for a reason. They were created from someone who had an experience, and that's how they created a saying.
So go love yourself.
Yeah, it's a real thing. So there's a beautiful saying on what you've just said. If somebody shows you their true colours, don't try and repaint them.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely?
That's lovely.
It's lovely. And it happens every single day. Something will happen in your life and you'll go, oh, I can't believe they did that. Listen, they did that. That's who they are. And you have a choice whether you want to allow them to do that thing again, or whether you want to accept your responsibility in a situation and say, right, I'm going to be different because I can choose how I'm going to be, and I'm going to show them how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's all about personal responsibility.
Because you know what? It doesn't matter how they're feeling on the day, because how they feel is their stuff. They shouldn't put that stuff onto you, right? And so how we wouldn't let that affect us is by like that. Somebody has done something to us that we're not happy about. We think, oh, but they're having a bad day. However, your responsibility is to turn around and say, well, Patricia, I know that, you know, things might be tough at the moment, or you're having a bit of an off day, but I don't really respect what you did to me there, and I didn't deserve it. And I just need you to know that I'm there to support you. And I know it's tough for you right now, but please don't go projecting what you're feeling onto me, because it's not nice and it's not kind. And I know that can be hard to say your truth, or if you can find another way to say it, or just baby steps, even just kind of don't be around that person or walk away. Notice when you feel uncomfortable and when you're not being respected. You do not need to be in somebody's presence just because they're having a tough time, because you think, oh, but they're having such a tough time. No. If you let them do that in the moment when they're upset, then sometimes boundaries kind of are a bit kind of blurred, exactly, and it can start to creep into how they see you and how they treat you on an everyday basis. So that's your responsibility, is to say what you're happy with doing and what you're not. Now guys, listen to me, can I tell you this? There's a lot of stuff that we talk on here about, and you might think, oh God, sure, you guys have it sorted, sure, you've it solved. Kira, however, is very good at a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Me, I'm still learning. I live so much from the heart that I hate to kind of usually speak my truth if it's going to hurt somebody else. Yet I'd rather them hurt me than me to hurt them, you know. And that's my homework. We all have our own homework, and that's definitely mine. So I do try to set up my little bits of baby steps so that I can eventually have it as my full plan, that I can speak my truth and take my responsibility in every moment, really.
Yeah, but you're doing brilliant. Every single day is like a little learning curve. It's great.
School of life.
But it's great to watch too. It's lovely to be on the outside of it, watching every single little step that you're taking.
Yeah.
Fair play to you. Because
Thank you.
it's not easy. People think that, you know, they might say things like, oh, well, those two know way more than everyone else, or those two think they know more than everyone else, and it's easy to be you because you have it all figured out. And in my mind, and I had a conversation with someone over coffee at the weekend, and I was saying, do you realize how hard it is? It is an extreme process to go from being completely blameful of others to being completely full of negative ego and lack of understanding and zero awareness, to being, as the new saying is, woke. It really is. Like, it's a process and a half. Because you have to meet your ego every single day. And it happened to me a few weeks ago. Something had come up, and I was so full of my own self-importance in this situation. It was not even funny. And I was saying, you know, this person and this person, they're like, it's not okay what they're doing, because, you know, they're not doing as much as I was doing, and I'm doing all this, and actually this isn't fair, and you know, it's not okay, and this isn't okay, and this isn't okay, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, and they're not doing this, and I'm not okay with it. And then I came home and I sat down and I went, oh, this is gonna suck. Because in that moment I realized that I wasn't doing any of the things that they were doing. They were showing up. They were doing a mammoth amount in comparison to what I was doing. So my jealousy and my discomfort and my inacceptance of myself all came up in that moment. While I was doing all this other stuff on the back end, they were actually showing up in person, and I wasn't. And I got to sit down and really take a moment. And I went back to somebody else.
Did you not notice that?
Pardon?
Like, to break that down for people who don't understand, like myself, did you not notice that when you were saying they weren't doing this, this and this?
No, I didn't. Because I was so full of my own self-importance. In my mind, what I was doing on the back end was much more important, was much more lofty and wonderful than what they were doing. I was amazing. I was actually a queen in my own right. And these menials weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And then I sat down and I went, hang on a minute, because what they're doing is they're showing up. They're in every single time I'm not in. They're showing up every single time I'm not showing up. And that's my piece. My piece was, why amn't I? And the reason I wasn't showing up, and then the reason I was talking about it, was because they were doing something that I didn't feel like I could. So I was making myself really small, but I was putting it onto them.
Even your actions is like it's out there.
Oh.
You know, like it's all about way out there.
Yeah,
rather than, you know.
Yeah, and so when I sat down with it and I went, oh my God, hello ego, welcome to the party, let's have a chat and let's get over this. And I actually went through a whole process in my head and I said, no, I have to take all of it back. I have to sit down and I have to say, fair play to them. I appreciate everything that they're doing. I think that they're fantastic for doing what they're doing. They're doing what I'm not willing to do and haven't been willing to do. They're showing up. And for me, that's really huge. And I apologize for ever saying anything. And I wasn't bitching about them to anybody. I wasn't being in that place. It was me that I was saying it about them to myself. And I sat down and I really made peace with it myself and gave out all the love that I needed and acknowledged them for doing what they were doing. And it made such a difference. And that was where I met my ego and I got to say, right, that's your stuff and you can't be putting it on other people. And once you start showing up again, everything will be more balanced.
But I think that that's so admirable, because if somebody has done wrong or they've put their projections onto somebody else because they're not dealing with their own stuff, I think it's so admirable to admit your feelings or to admit that you did wrong or that you cast somebody else in a wrong light, and to go back and say, you know what, I'm actually sorry, that was totally my stuff, it's not yours, you're doing a great job, that was just totally me or whatever. And I think people are far willing to work with you more and respect you more because you spoke your truth and you admit it when you're wrong.
But you see, and the other thing was, so I hadn't actually said it to them. I'd said nothing to anyone. I was saying all of this in my own space. I was giving out about these people like they were peasants, like they were just had done nothing. You know, my mum used to use that all the time. She used to call everybody who she didn't think was, you know, up her street peasants. And I used to laugh so much. She used to drive me soft. Now I think it's hilarious. And so that's, you know, like as if I would even hang around with these people because they're just not on my level, because they're not doing what I think they should do. Oh God. So I was shoulding all over them, which I think is awful. And so I got the opportunity to apologize to them myself here in my own space, because they have no idea what I've said, and I would never have said it to them, because I would have known that had I said it to them and it was something that I would have had voiced in that moment, I would have known I was wrong.
Yeah, you know, it's different when you speak something out. You can hear yourself in that moment.
Absolutely.
But it's funny, you know, because I think that this comes from maybe childhood, or maybe it's monkey see, monkey do, I don't know. But I had a child with me, well, I have many kids with me every now and again. But anyways, this child had said, what was it now? They were given off that something didn't go right or something because Moses gave it to him in the first place. And he couldn't do something. Oh, I'll tell you what it was. He had a piece of paper in a circle and he was putting his pencil into the circle. And he wanted to make like kind of an umbrella, but he made the hole too big. So he gave off to my two sons saying, oh, I can't believe that you gave me that pencil and that paper because I couldn't do it and you made it so big now and oh, it's all your fault, right? And he was really cross with them. And I was like, hold on a second here. Did you put that pencil through that paper? And he was like, yes. Was that your idea? Yes, it was. Okay, so, and you made that hole too big? Yes, I did. You made that hole too big? Yes. Did Moses and Jonah make that hole too big? No. So you need to take responsibility for you making the hole too big, and don't be passing the blame on to Moses and Jonah because they gave you the paper and the pencil.
Very good lesson.
And so, and I know they're only 6 guys, right?
Doesn't matter.
They can understand far greater things more than we even realise they can understand. you know, like we are told that kids know how to manipulate us, they know how to do all of this stuff that we don't give them credit for. So I just thought I'm going to name that, right? And that's a blessing and a good lesson for him to learn. And I say to my kids all the time, take responsibility for your own stuff. If my son Jonah makes a holy mess, which he likes to do, I might take responsibility for the stuff and clean it up yourself, because I'm not cleaning up your mess for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you clean up the house after I made a mess? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's age appropriate stuff, you know. But I just thought if young kids are doing that and they're led away with it, including my own kids, then they go through life then with the kind of like being entitled. Well, I don't have to take responsibility because you not know who I am, and you not know where I came from, and you not know what I've learned from my parents or whoever it is in school. And I was led away with this in my life. So how dare you tell me now that I have to take responsibility for this, like, you know? And so,
well, you're right. It is monkey see, monkey do, because everything I do, Josh reiterates, and we have an extremely positive household, full of personal responsibility and awareness, and meeting our egos all of the time, and we're so open with each other. And he's going to be 12 in a week and a half, and anything that I do he mirrors, and thankfully I have really great practices, so he's mirroring the good stuff. And when I do something or say something or be in a way that's not in alignment with who I am, I can tell you something.
He's not long telling you.
Oh, not long at all. He's right there saying, Mom, now what would you tell me in this situation? And I'm like, right, okay, I need to sit down and deal with this.
I know.
And I love it. I love it because he's listening and he's aware and he's really awake. Personal responsibility is massive for Josh. He's a kid. So of course he'll do things and blame other people because it's normal. It's like a natural reaction. It's what we want to do because we don't want to feel like we've done something wrong.
But is it normal or is it learned behaviour?
It's a totally natural reaction because it's the fight or flight in the body. The body actually wants to save us, the mind all the time. So the minute we do something wrong, our first reaction is, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I did this. It's going to feel rotten. Who can I blame? What can I say? What can I do? Rather than going, okay, this feels like crap. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. What's going to happen next? 90% of the time, nothing's going to happen. In fact, 99% of the time, nothing's going to happen.
Actually, that's a good thing because, say with my kids, right, I taught them the word consequences from a really young age, you know, and it's funny trying to hear them getting their mouth around it and that. And so I said to them, if you tell me the truth, because I hate lies, because then you never know when to trust them. If you tell me the truth, and no matter how bad it is, there still will be consequences, but there'll be a lesser of a consequence if you tell me the truth. Rather than if you tell me a lie, there'll be serious consequences, you know.
Thelma was in my house, obviously, at the same time that I was saying the same thing to Josh. How cool is that?
I think we came from the same, I don't know.
Yeah, we were
not womb, but
we were the twins.
In two different mothers, however that happened.
Yeah.
Strange one.
Red string.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I would say to Jonah, like, he likes to have a few fibs in that. Moses will own up to it, but Jonah not so much. And I'm like, Jonah, you've got 3 seconds to tell me the truth. And I said, if you tell me the truth, I said there'll be less of a consequence, and there will be serious consequences if you don't tell me the truth, right? So I'm like, 1. And he's like, and I'm like, 2. And he's like, oh, fine. It was me. And he really finds it difficult, you know. So I'm like giving him a hug saying, thank you very much for telling me. And he is 4. So he's meant to do 4 minutes on the reflection step, I call it. And instead of doing 4, I might give him 2. So he knows then that he can always come and tell me stuff, no matter how bad it is. And that, guys, sets it up for, you know, really good kind of skill sets for when they're older, for when they're our age.
Yeah. And
guys, when it comes to bullying in school or stealing or sexual abuse or physical abuse or whatever those kind of things that can happen, the key factor that I will give to you guys is, coming from some of the stuff myself, is that as a parent, to let the kids know that no matter how much of a wrongdoing that they did, no matter how bad, even if they killed somebody, that you will work through it together about how you can kind of come through it. But there's still going to be consequences, but they won't be as harsh, or you won't be as so utterly disappointed and gutted with them. And kind of, we can tend to break up the relationship that we have with them a little bit because we're so annoyed and pissed off that how could our child possibly do that, because we see it as a reflection of ourselves, maybe our own parenting. And that's where we need to take responsibility. If we're annoyed about how our kids are reacting to things, in life, we take it so personally because we think it's, as I said,
A
a
reflection.
reflection of ourselves. Yes.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah, so we need to take responsibility in that. But go back to the point anyway, what you need to do is, if somebody has done something wrong, there are consequences, but there'll be less of a consequence if they tell the truth.
So we would love to hear from you guys on what levels of personal responsibility that you apply to yourselves, or even better, how many times you decide to give reasons or excuses. I prefer reasons that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And that's really sticky, and you can get out your pen and paper and you can write stuff down because it's definitely worth it. So you can throw in your comments here, and thank you very much for today. Personal responsibility.
And one other thing I want to say is that on that as well, is that when you know yourself that you're not taking responsibility, how does that feel in your body, and how does that feel in yourself? Because when we notice how we're feeling in it, then we are triggered by that feeling anytime that we do it consciously or subconsciously in the future. So then we can just sit back.
#triggered.
Kira hates that word, triggered. But if you feel that you're kind of getting this kind of pain in your stomach going, oh my God, then when you get that feeling again, you're like, oh, hold on a second, why am I getting this feeling? Not taking responsibility.
Yeah.
So just watch it in yourself.
So we dare you to take all the personal responsibility
We
this
dare
week.
you.
We
How
dare
old is
you.
that?
I know, yeah.
8?
5.
You like 5?
I like 5. Yeah, 5.
Okay.
Okay, have an amazing day, and thanks a million for watching, and we hope that you have a fab Tuesday.
We're on YouTube as well, and on Thelma Gibbons That's Life, and we will see you on Friday.
Hasta la vista,
Take care.
babies.
Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.